Hi, my name is Saad, and we're Group 6. Today we're going to be discussing Colin Kaepernick's decision to sit down during the national anthem in a preseason game.
Okay, let's let everybody introduce themselves real quick.
Okay.
Oh, I'm Michael Wynn.
I'm Joseph.
I'm Elizabeth Keeler.
And I'm Roman Hani.
Very good, thank you.
Here's a background information on Colin Kaepernick. His biological mother had him when she was 19, and he was put out to adoption, and then Rick and Teresa Kaepernick adopted him when he was only 5 weeks old, and he actually dealt with a lot of struggle and a lot of struggle during the childhood due to being adopted to a white family. In 2011, he was drafted to the 49ers, and 2 years later, he took the 49ers to a Super Bowl. And before the preseason game recently, the social media and Twitter feeds on him show a timeline of events that show his stance on race, politics, and police behavior over time. And then he finally decided to take a stance towards. And after we found out, like, he took a stand for Black Lives Matter, and now I'll let Joe talk about the controversy, the correlation between police killings and race.
Kaepernick was protesting what he perceived to be systematic police brutality aimed at African Americans, and the government's failure to stop it. As you can see, based on the graph on the left, African Americans were killed at 5 times the rate of unarmed whites last year. 1 in 3 African Americans killed by police were identified as unarmed. Last year, police or law enforcement killed at least 102 unarmed African Americans, which averages about 2 a week. Of those 102 cases, only 10 of the unarmed killings resulted in charges, and only 2 convictions. This is especially apparent within the young black population. Young black males were 9 times more likely to be killed by law enforcement than other Americans. As you can see, based on the graph on the right, the likelihood of African Americans in the 20 to 24 age group being killed is 7.1 to 1 million residents, which is a lot higher than the average of 1.2 for all races and ages. And now I'm going to pass it to Michael to discuss Kaepernick's protest.
So with the statistics and ratios that we had just seen, we're going to talk about Colin Kaepernick's statement and his message. So during the preseason game with the Green Bay Packers, he decided not to stand up for the national anthem. This caused a lot of controversy. There's a lot of chit-chat with NFL authorities, along with local fans and across the nation, and this was very detrimental to his career. But his reasoning behind it, go to the next slide. His reasoning behind it is because he did not want to support a country that did not support him, an African American, a country that supported the oppression and silence of African Americans. With this statement, obviously you can tell that he is pro-Black Lives Matter, and Black Lives Matter was a movement that was created due to racial discriminations and unjust hate crimes towards minorities, especially the African American population. Many people believe that those who are pro-Black Lives Matter are taking a more violent and hateful crime towards the people who, mostly Caucasians. As you can see from the Dallas shootings, that the African Americans said that he did want to shoot Caucasian people. But Kaepernick wanted to take a more alternative route by doing a more silent protest, a more protest that would speak up and be public, but still make the same message and statement. He decided not to stand up for the national anthem, and he believed that this was bigger than him. He believed that this was bigger than his career, his endorsements, and his sponsorships, and that's what the message he wanted to convey. And so in the next slide here, we're going to pass it on to Liz to talk about his supporters.
So these are some people. As we know, there's a lot of people on both sides, not that only are supporting him, but that have negative thoughts and opinions on his decision to not stand up during the national anthem. Before deciding not to do this, he did not ask for anybody's approval, so nobody knew that he was not going to stand. So this was completely surprising to everybody, including his teammates, his coach, the NFL, everybody. His actual coach made a statement after the game saying it was his right as a citizen not to stand, and he will not tell him that he cannot not stand or not sit. So his coach stood behind him, not standing for the national anthem as his right as a citizen. The NFL also released a statement saying that players are encouraged but not required to stand during the playing of the national anthem. So, of course, they want people to stand, but they're not obligated to. It's their right to. And then also, after the game, him and his teammates had a private meeting with no press, and they all got together and vowed to support him and stand behind his decision. Just a couple other people that are also supporting him are a lot of veterans. A lot of veterans are saying that they don't want people to feel bad and say that they don't support the flag. So they're saying that they'd rather have people not feel bad for them because they fought in the wars. Also, Dominique and Jamil, they said that it reminded him of Muhammad Ali. So, and also a lot of other fellow NFL players across the board also defended him, saying it was his right. You have to respect what his decision was and his right not to do it. And then some of the people on the other side, a lot of the 49er fans are very unhappy, and they're burning his jersey. They don't like anything that he did, and they're not backing him at all. Other people like Jerry Rice, which is the Hall of Fame wide receiver, he does not approve of his decision not to respect the flag. He thinks that his decision by not doing it is he's disrespecting the flag of America, United States. Also, the police union of San Francisco wrote to the NFL asking them to denounce Kaepernick. Also, New York Giants coach was disappointed, and so was Bill O'Brien of the Houston Texans. They said that they encouraged their players to stand up during the national anthem, and if it was one of their players, that they would be extremely disappointed. And these are just a couple other ones. For instance, like his former coach at Nevada was extremely shocked at his decision not to stand, so it's not something that they expected him to do. So this was all a big surprise to everybody that knew him and his morals and his reasonings to do this. So now I'm going to pass it to him to have show you some of the effects that are going around.
So while Kaepernick did receive a lot of negative reviews, there were a lot of people who also supported him, taking it a step further than just sending out a tweet. Nate Boyer was a Seahawks former player and is now currently a United States Green Beret. Actually wrote an open letter to him saying that him sitting during the national anthem was disrespectful to the servicemen, soldiers, and policewomen. So they actually set up a meeting in San Francisco where Nate flew out with Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reed, who's also the safety, I believe, for San Francisco 49ers. They had a meeting and they decided that kneeling during the national anthem would pay respect towards the soldiers and policemen of our country instead of sitting down and kind of just blowing it off. In regards to him kneeling, Megan Rapinoe, who's a female soccer player for the U.S. women's national team, decided to kneel as well during her first season opener in Chicago to take a stand for inequality for lesbians, transgenders, and gays, and also racial inequality. During her second game in Washington Spirit, they actually moved the anthem up before the players came out of the tunnel, just so she didn't have the opportunity to take a kneel during that. Washington Spirit said that it was an opportunity to kind of negate the disrespect that they felt would happen. A lot of people also criticized Kaepernick for not actually doing anything. He is bringing awareness to the cause, but he wasn't, putting any money. So about a week ago, he declared that he was going to donate his first $1 million from his contract to charities that help struggling communities and struggling schools in inner city areas, and as well as that, he's planning on donating all of his jersey proceeds to similar causes. Now, it's not as much as you would think. He's the #1 selling jersey in NFL shops right now. He went from, I believe it was 16 in 2 weeks to #6, and then a week ago he actually hit the #1 spot. Adrian Peterson, who's the #1, I think, fastest selling jersey, only received about $10,000 from his proceeds. So it's not much, but he's still putting in as much effort. As far as our stance on it, we don't really have a good way to, I guess, declare something. We do think that it's an important issue and that Kaepernick is doing all that he can to bring awareness to it. So we do applaud that. We do think there could have been a more civil way of doing that besides trying to take a seat during the national anthem, but we also understand that that was the biggest way for him to make a splash. So we applaud that, and that is it.